Right now, the country is dealing with the death of Dr. Victoria Mutiso because of a suspected illegal battle of a property worth billions of shillings. And I don't think this story is being made simple for Kenyans to understand, so that you realize that even if you have no marriage, you have no property, even at 40, but you are at peace. You can sit and be at peace. You are just okay. Now, let me give you a logical sequence of events so that you understand what happened and led to the death of Dr. Victoria Mutiso, so that you can appreciate even if you have nothing. Now, this thing starts because of the husband, okay? Let us start with the husband. The husband, Professor David, now was married to a woman called Rose Mbithe. Now, these two were married for about 31 years. They were in marriage for 31 good years. That is a solid marriage. And I am very sure that they acquired a lot of things together. Now, it reached a point where they had now to divorce, just like I divorced, okay? But now, divorce is not the issue. They are divorcing, but there is multi-billion property that is being disputed. And Rose Mbithe, who had now been divorced by David, stayed in the property and claimed that she contributed to it because it is matrimonial property. Now, what did David do? David went to court and then said that this woman does not have a stake in this property, okay? Now, you understand how courts behave. Courts say that according to contribution. After divorce, you look at the property, who contributed a lot to buying it. And then it was established that this property did not belong to Rose. So Rose had to be evicted from this property. And Rose was evicted. Now, Rose was divorced by David, and now she's stuck in that property, and now Rose has been evicted because this property is not hers. And David takes control of the property. Now, remember that all this is happening when Dr. Victoria is still a young girl in school. She is not married to David. She is still studying to become a mental health expert in university. She's acquiring papers. She's a bright student. She's not part of this. So when this legal dispute is still going on, Professor David, now in his errands, he meets this lady called Victoria. And then he loves her. And then he tells her that, I want to marry you. Now, Dr. Victoria does not know what is happening because she thinks this is just something simple that will end, okay? This is multi-billion property. And so Dr. Victoria now, who is the incoming wife, believes that she will enter into this marriage and this thing will just be cleared and it will end. And so what happens? Dr. Victoria now gets married to a divorced man called Professor David. And now they start staying together and now they own this disputed property. Now, what does Rose Mbithe do? Rose Mbithe feels betrayed. The divorced woman who is called Rose now. She feels betrayed that this property David is enjoying with a new woman, and yet he acquired that property when I was with him for the 31 years that we were married. So what does Rose do? Rose Mbithe now feels like she should go to court. She goes to court and then she accuses David. And then she names Rose, who is now the new wife, as a third defendant. You see? Now, this is why I was saying that if you get married, sometimes marriage can be a blessing, but sometimes marriage can be problematic. Now, you see Dr. Victoria has gotten married to David. She has just gotten married to be in love. She's in love. She is in marriage now. She wants to sit, bring up maybe her children, and protect her marriage until her death. But now, because she has entered this marriage, she has gotten married to a divorced man who is involved in a case of property worth billions of shillings. Now, she automatically becomes part of this case, right? Now, remember, Dr. Victoria did not have this problem before she got married. This problem found her in marriage. And I want you to learn these lessons as we move with this story. Right now, you could not be married. And you think that marriage is all you need. Like right now, I don't have a wife. And you think that a wife is all you need. But then again, when you get that wife or when you get that husband and you get married now, you become part of their problems. Now Dr. Victoria is part of this. Now she's being mentioned in cases as a third defendant. Do you get me clearly? Now, I don't want to mention that case because this whole thing is in court, but I just want you to understand, okay? Now, there is a lawyer who is involved in running this case. The lawyer is called Matthew Kyalo Mbobu. Now, let me make this video very short. Do you remember that Matthew Kyalo Mbobu was assassinated? Do you know the reasons why he was assassinated? Because he was a lawyer in this case, although it has not been proven. It has not been proven, and I don't want to make remarks that the court has not proved. But there is no established cause that led to the death of Matthew Kyalo Mbobu. But all of us can see that this is the case that finished him. Now, Matthew has died because of the selling of this property that is worth a lot of money. Now, the lawyer is dead. Now, who is remaining? The person who is remaining is this divorced man who is called Professor David, and then the wife now, Dr. Victoria, right? And then we have Rose Mbithe, who is out and has accused this former husband and his new wife, okay? Now, fast forward. Dr. Victoria, who is now the wife of Professor David, becomes a stumbling block for some people accessing this property worth billions of shillings. You know, in normal circumstances, when men marry, their wives become their protector in most cases. Even at home, when my father is not around, it is our mother who used to take care of our land, our ancestral land, okay? And I know that in most businesses, when the husband is not around, you find that it is the wife now who takes charge, okay? Now, in this case, Professor David, when he is not around, we have Dr. Victoria, who is now the official wife, taking care of this property. Now, this other wife, Dr. Rose Mbithe, I think there's something there. I don't want to mention it because this is a matter in court and I don't want to put myself in problems. Because she has become a stumbling block, there are several attempts to end her life, to end the life of Dr. Victoria. I don't want to say who wanted to end her life because I don't want to make unnecessary conclusions. Now, the first attempt is made because she was in her property. Dr. Victoria is in her property. She's now seated as a new wife now. She's there in this disputed property and she is attacked. The first attack happens, okay? She doesn't know who attacked her, but she is attacked. And we all know who attacked her, but now let's not make conclusions, okay? Now, she's not murdered. That case ends there. The second one, now the target is now this woman, because this woman, you are a stumbling block, okay? Now, the lawyer has died. The lawyer has been finished. The lawyer is gone. Now, the second one is this woman. Now, she's driving in traffic and then they block her vehicle. Then they try to murder her, but now they cannot succeed. Now, she reports this case to a police station. Now, the third attempt now becomes successful and then she's gone. Now, the husband is still alive. Now, Professor David is now still alive. The wife he divorced, Rose Mbithe, is still alive and her children are still there. And then this disputed property is still there, and then they are still fighting over this property. The lawyer who was involved in this case is dead. The new wife who was married, Dr. Victoria, who was innocent, she just came to get married, she's now gone. Now we still have a case between Professor David and Rose Mbithe over this property. Now, I don't want us to make any conclusions, but I want you to learn something. Lesson number 1, concerning marriage. Some of you are not married. You are a lady, you don't have a husband. Or you are a young man and you don't have a wife. And you think that when you finally get a husband or when you finally get a wife, you will have achieved a significant milestone in life. People will come and they will celebrate that you have gotten married. But you are forgetting that maybe being single is a blessing in disguise. Being unable to find a wife or being unable to get a husband is a blessing in disguise. Maybe if you get that husband, he's in a case that involves a lot of things and you could find yourself in problems. Maybe if you get that lady, she is involved in a certain legal dispute and you will have a lot of problems. And this is not just limited to those legal disputes. You could get married to a person who has a disease, maybe that you don't know, and that disease could finish you, maybe unknowingly. I'm not saying a disease that you know, an infectious disease that maybe you don't know, okay? So when you are single, don't beat yourself up. Life has not passed you by. You are still okay. Okay? Don't rush and then say that now because I don't have a partner, I should get a partner so that I can please people. You can rush, yes, and get that partner. But it is not a guarantee that you will live a happy life. I am not saying that you should not get married. You see, some people will start saying that Gidi is encouraging people not to get married. No, I am saying that if you get married, it is okay. And if you are still single, it is okay. Maybe when you get married, that partner can help you solve a problem. But when you are still single, don't start saying that life now is terrible. Now you have not achieved your dreams. No, you are still okay even without that husband and wife. And the second lesson you get from this thing is that owning property is not a destination. You can own property and that property becomes a source of legal battles, decade-long legal battles like the ones Professor David and Rose Mbithe have had. And you will never live to enjoy that property. All the time you are in court, accusing one another over property that is worth a lot of money. And then there is collateral damage. A lot of people are dying along the way because of the same property that you are arguing over. Now, when you don't have property, you don't have a car, you don't have land, you don't have anything of importance according to society, because it is society that now tells you that if you have no car, you are not successful. If you have no land, you are not successful. If you have no investment portfolio, you are not successful. And you start believing that because you have nothing, you are now useless. You are not useless. You could be having nothing, and by the way, having nothing guarantees peace of mind in most cases. You have no car that is demanding insurance. You have no land where you have to be running up and down looking for title deeds. You have no other property that is making you run up and down trying to protect it, looking for security. You don't have anything, and therefore you just stay alone in peace. You don't even have security, because when you have very valuable property, you have to be walking around with the security to protect you, because people also are salivating at this property. I've told you how some of these lenders, when they lend you money, they are now targeting your property. Okay, so you need security to protect you. So most of these people with the property, they have stress protecting this property. And you who has no property, you start feeling like, now I need that property. No, that peace of mind could be very important even without that property. Okay? And this is why I want to speak to Christians, because today is my Sabbath day and we are going to church. Now, when we reach in church, most of the time we pray to God, God bless me with a car, God bless me with the land, God bless me with this and that, bless me with marriage. Sometimes you could not be having something, and God is protecting you from a problem you cannot see. God is protecting you from a dispute through marriage. God is protecting you from maybe something, from maybe when you have a car, you will be involved in an accident. So sometimes you pray to God that God should bless you with something, but you are being protected from the negative outcomes of those things. So sometimes when you pray to God to give you things, and then you give up that God has not given you, God has protected you from some burdens that you cannot see. So when you have nothing and you pray and you don't get anything and you still remain with nothing, as long as you have peace of mind, as long as you can sit and then you have no stress. Of course you will have stress because maybe you don't have a car, you have to take a matatu. Maybe you are living in a rented house and you are paying rent and you are stressed with rent. You could be under protection from such kind of negative outcomes. Probably you could get land and then you build a house worth 30 million, like the one Defao built. And then the government comes and demolishes the house and then tells you that you built this on a riparian land, something of that sort, okay? Or on a public land. And then you remain also without a house. This does not mean that we should not be working hard to get property. Work hard for the property. Work hard and get a wife or a husband. Work hard to get things in life. But when you don't get, also remember that those things have negative outcomes or burdens that you cannot see. And still on the case of Christians, when you pray a lot that God give me this and that, the same Bible that you are praying says that life is not all about abundance of possessions. I know Jesus talked about it. And even Paul in the book of Philippians chapter, I think it's 4 verse 11 to 12. It is Paul telling you that it is not necessary to have these many things. It is okay to be contented with whatever you have. Now, some people imagine that Christianity is promoting the poverty mentality by telling people to be contented with the little. It does not mean that be contented with the nothing. No. Continue working. But whatever you get, once you acquire something, be contented as you work on other things. And this brings me to the video that I made recently about people who are in their 30s, they have no employment, they have no marriage, they are alone, they feel like life has passed them by, and they feel like this life has no meaning. My brother, my sister, life is not a destination. Even these people who have acquired a lot of things, they have not reached. They are still fighting here and there, trying to acquire things. Rigathi Gachagua is a billionaire, but he is still fighting to get power. Impeachment is his greatest problem. William Ruto is still in power. He is the president of the Republic of Kenya, but he is still fighting to get more power and more money and more billions. Okay, I've told you about people like Atuoli who come from where I come from. He should be contented according to how I feel, but again, he wants to support a presidential candidate. Uhuru Kenyatta is still also fighting. He's the former president. He should be seated down enjoying. He's a billionaire. In fact, he could be a trillionaire, but he is also still fighting to get more money. These people are still fighting. People who have property are still fighting, either to acquire more property or to protect the property that they have, right? You have seen people in marriage. You think that someone has a wife and you think that it is a destination, that now they feel very okay. But you find that this person, this man, has to have a side chick to protect his marriage. Or you find a married woman. In fact, they say that married women cheat a lot. A woman is in marriage and then she publicly says, I am happily married. But again, she goes out to look for Ben 10s. People are not satisfied. People are still looking for things. And therefore, in this life, we don't have a destination. We don't have a place where you will reach and say, now I have reached, now I am contented, now let me put my legs together like this and enjoy life. Never, never. As long as you are still alive, you will continue fighting. And so when you don't have anything, wherever you are, continue fighting. And if you don't get whatever you are working for, it is still okay. Be happy with whatever you have. Be happy with wherever you are. It is still fine to be okay with where you are. Thank you for listening to me. This is Gidi Akali, and we shall meet again in another video. Peace and happy Sabbath to Seventh-day Adventists. May you enjoy your Sabbath.